Hey guys, it's AJ Francis here from WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. You also may know me as NXT's Top Dollar by my merch. Today, I am so excited to be joined with one of my favorite people that I went on the road with for WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, and that is WWE legend and Hall of Famer Mick Foley. Yay!
Thank you, AJ. We did have a good time filming that show for sure.
Yeah, and also not only our show, but we're actually here to discuss the fact that you have your biography documentary premiering on A&E tonight at 8 o'clock. How do you feel?
Wow, it's pretty surreal. I think A&E did. I know they did one. I can't remember if it was 2000 or 2001, but that seemed kind of like a natural progression of things at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That had the book that came out. We were kind of on top of the world at that time. But to have A&E come back and not only do one 20 years later, but to do it in such a dramatically upgraded fashion. For anyone who's been checking out these A&E biographies,
They're incredible.
Yeah, they're way above what they used to be. And I think we have either 7 directors doing 8 projects or 8 directors doing 8 projects. I know my director, Thomas Odefeld, only had my project, and he really put a lot of himself into it. And the crew is great, and we really believe that we have quite a biography.
And the cool thing for me is that, like you mentioned, that there's different directors for each one, and you can tell that in the stylistic ways that each biography is like portrayed. It's a really cool thing that A&E has been doing with WWE, and I've been watching every week, and I know I'm not the only person.
Yeah, thanks, AJ. I'm not here to knock the old A&E biographies, but I think they had the same narrator for almost every one, and he seemed to be going through the motions, almost mocking the, his tone of voice almost mocked the subjects he was. That was my take on it, at least, But
you thought it was a giant rib.
No, I still liked it. But it was just kind of they kind of did them quickly, and this one was a labor of love for the director and the crew. I went and did the Stone Cold sessions out in Nevada with Steve, and Steve was really raving about the documentary. I hadn't seen it yet, so in order just to be part of the conversation, I watched the first 20 minutes. And AJ, I'm usually very critical of my own stuff, but I watched those first 20 minutes and I was, wow, they really did a great job on this thing.
That's amazing. So, Mick, obviously, thank you for joining me. I wanted to ask you a few questions in preparation for this big moment. What do you think is one thing that fans will be surprised about in your biography?
Oh, wow. I think all 4 of my children are in it. I mean, that's a good surprise for me. Maybe that's not digging down deep enough. I think they'll be surprised. I think they'll be surprised at how much access the crew had. So it's not just the interviews. It's not just tagging along once. I mean, they went to, I think, 4 different states with me, and I think we came up with some really good stuff. I think they'll be surprised at the level of commitment.
And also, another one that I wanted to know is, obviously, you can't have a Mick Foley biography without the video of you jumping off your roof. So, like, who owns the right to that video? Because I've seen that video for 30 years, damn near almost.
Yeah.
And it's played over and over again. I'm thinking you got to get some spins off of this video.
I never even thought of that. I mean, technically, I own it because it was my little movie project. And there's a nice scene where I go back to that house with the guy I wrestled.
That's awesome.
And we reminisce about it, and then he lends some, insight into what was going through his mind when his older brother asked if he could come out and wrestle me in the backyard.
Man, that's amazing. You need to get an NFT on that clip of you jumping off the roof.
Oh, maybe so. We should talk afterwards.
You should. Another question, I always wonder is, like, for you, what was your most memorable moment being in WWE? I would think it would be the night that you won the WWE title, but you never know.
Yeah, that was. I would say there were 2 or 3 of them. Of course, I would say the cell match was memorable, but I didn't remember much of it. I had to so, but you can't say it's memorable if you don't remember it, at least for a
True.
few months. So either the night that I defeated Dwayne The Rock Johnson the first time, that was really cool. And then I'd say when I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, because I had a chance to do it at Madison Square Garden. At that time, AJ, I didn't think I'd ever be addressing a large audience again. And I just really enjoyed it. I mean, you could argue I talked too long, but it really brought a sense of closure to my career. And it was great to have my family and a few of my friends there as well.
That's awesome, man. Obviously you're most famous for the faces of Foley, the three faces of Foley. Technically, Mick Foley is a fourth face, but we're not going to get into that now. So, of the three faces of Foley, I have a two-part question. Do you have a favorite that was most fun for you to play? And also, that infamous night where you're in the Royal Rumble with all three characters, how did that night come about? How did you find out that you were going to be doing that?
Wow, that's going back 23 years. I believe it was whether it was Vince Russo's idea or not. I believe it was Vince Russo who told me the idea. And at that point, AJ, I wished I had a Velcro on the boots because all three set of boots they're high boots, 18.
Lace them.
Lace. I think I had a team of people working on me just to lace them up and get them back in time. So I didn't even have a chance to be nervous in between, appearances because I was just trying to get one pair of boots off and one pair of boots on. I had no idea at that time that we were going to be creating this image, that's still out there, not only in the minds.
It's one of the most iconic moments in Royal Rumble history.
And it makes for great memes. There's this great meme of a drunk guy talking to a girl who obviously would rather not be in the conversation. He's like, and then he came back the same night as Dude Love.
I also seen the meme of when you go get samples at Costco.
What is that?
It said when you go get samples at Costco and you walk in and you're Dude Love. Thanks
back
for
at three different
you
guys.
walk back and you're Mankind. Thanks for
I saw one at the beginning of the pandemic where all three characters were trying to get toilet paper. So it clearly, it resonated resonated with millions of people, and they still remember it so fondly.
Do you think there's anything about those characters that you could have, I wouldn't say changed, but would have liked to added another layer to, but never really got the chance to?
Oh yeah, that's right. That was the initial question. Which one was the most fun to portray? There was this part of me that always wanted to be Cactus Jack. Once I made it, worth something. That when I came in as Mankind, I did not want to be Mankind, but I not only resigned to making the most of it, but grew to love doing it and grew to love seeing it as the best thing that ever happened to me. And I was having
I don't think your hair would agree, but yeah.
What's that?
I said, I don't think your hair would agree, but
yeah, that's right. I was pulling that hair out, right? No one had ever done that before. And I was having a blast doing the latter-day Mankind stuff, but I felt bad that I couldn't give people the type of matches I wanted to do on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And Dude Love was a character I enjoyed for a few months before it ran its course, and I was still out there. Dan, I remember I had to put it, we had a little heat on us in Kuwait because one show didn't go long enough, and they were like, all right, you and Neidhart, 30 minutes. Dude Love and Jim Neidhart are going to go 30 minutes in a stadium? And so the fifth or sixth time that I went up to the second turnbuckle and did the Dude Love dance, I was thinking, wow, the summer of love has been over for a few months now. But here's the thing, and I guess in a way it is a blatant shill for my cameo videos. But I love being Dude Love when I do the cameo videos because I've kind of reinvented him as a guy who greatly overestimates his value in the wrestling world. And he's always interjecting himself as if he is the coolest face of Foley.
Oh, Daddy!
Yeah, Daddy. Oh, you don't want that washed up Cactus Jack or that highly overrated Mankind. And then, he's forced to flee. And it just makes for some great, instead of just, hey, happy birthday to you, it really makes for some great theater. And I have the chance to do the characters again and almost reinvent them as I go. So I'm having a blast doing it. I never thought I'd say that Dude Love is my favorite character, but I've got the I've got the wig and the bandana right here.
Love it.
Yeah, and the glasses. Yeah, technically, Dude never wore these glasses, but who's to say we can't reinvent the character every once in a while?
Hey, sometimes you gotta put a fresh coat of paint on it. You know what I'm saying? Do you when you do your videos, your cameo videos, like what do you get more requests for Mick Foley, Mankind, Dude Love, or Cactus Jack?
Well, people have been they'll watch the sample videos and they know that I can't do Cactus. I just, if they ask, I go, hey, listen, there's a certain level of emotional depth that I could portray Cactus, and I haven't had that in a while. Otherwise, it's just the other two characters lend themselves to being caricatured, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And Cactus doesn't, so I can come on as Dude Love and overstate my importance in the world of WWE. I can come on as Mankind, and he can either be, menacing or innocent, depending. Something as simple as singing a happy birthday as Mankind is really pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I've clearly
The Rock would agree.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, we had that nice birthday video I sent to The Rock. That was a lot of fun. So it's fun, AJ. I mean, during this pandemic, and I didn't have a way to get out there and see anybody. It gave me a chance that I was still connecting, get the great feedback, and so it was a lot of fun. So if anyone wants to check those out, cameo.com/Mick Foley. Look at a few of the reviews and a few of the videos, and I think you'll agree. This guy, he's not just phoning it in. He really enjoys doing this stuff.
I love to hear it. I love to hear that you always love to give back to the fans because you appreciate everything that they've done for you. That's really cool, man. Did you learn anything about yourself through filming this documentary?
Whoa, that's a good question. Did I mention I no longer have the emotional depth to be Cactus Jack?
Yes.
I think I learned, just by nature of being asked, that this character really resonated with people. So that 21 years after the fact, to be up there in that elite class, among those 8 people that WWE and AEW chose to have documented, that's really big. So I think it reinforced the impact that I had, not only on the wrestling business, but also on the fans. And many of whom are still watching. And even if they're not watching, they've got this great fondness for the period of time that they did watch. And these documentaries give them a chance to relive those moments. And what's great is, I know there's always a lot of emphasis on the initial number. Then I'm going head to head with an opposition pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And so I expect the numbers to be a little bit down. But then A&E shows them over, and they do these great ratings.
Yeah.
The replays do great ratings. And
Yeah.
even people who watch them once find themselves drawn to those documentaries because they're so well done and they tell such a great story.
I couldn't agree more, man. I didn't used to leave my TV channel on A&E until I started doing the show, and then now I'll just turn on my TV and it's on A&E, and a biography's on or my show's on, and I'm like, all right, well, this is getting spins in my house for sure. What I'm saying?
And AJ, you are good on that on the Treasure Show. You're really good.
I appreciate that, Mick. It's a lot of times when we were doing the show, like, I know other people were worried. They were like, man, how's this kid going to stack up on screen with, Mick Foley and Kane and Undertaker and Ric Flair and all these incredible, personas. And, like, I saw it as an opportunity to, show my worth and show that I can be, a part of this business at the highest level. And I took it as a challenge because when you're on screen with Mick Foley, you're either going to sink or you're going to swim. There's no, there's no middle ground. You either got to step up to the plate or you're going to get left behind. So I brought my A game.
It was some really good outside the box thinking by Triple H and Stephanie, because you were a trainee there at the Performance Center, and for them to pick you, wow, that's really And obviously your size in a sense works against you.
Yeah, it does.
Because we want to accentuate the size of the wrestlers. There was the one thing at David Chudy's house, and man, that David, you were right there, AJ. When people ask me about the negotiations, I go, "Hey, those negotiations are 100% real."
Real.
Because I was actively saying to you, I was like, "No, he wants too much. No, it's not worth it." And then Ben said, "We really need this shirt," and I was against whereas I was all in on the Mankind shirt,
Mm-hmm.
and I have worked out a day, September 25th, that I'm going to go visit that one collector in Indiana.
Yeah.
And that was a thing where I was like, okay, AJ, what's our maximum? He wasn't budging.
No.
He 5K, and he got panicked, as in, no, he didn't want to sell it.
He was like, nah, this was one of the first things I got. I have no interest in letting this go. And we're like, okay, well, we came all the way to Indiana for no reasons.
I know. And then we got together. I was like, what if we do a personal viewing? You're like, will you do that? I mean, you and I were negotiating in the negotiation. Then we came out and said, we were watching in your house.
Yep. Great bit that didn't make the show.
It didn't make it. Hopefully, it will make this bonus episode, which I love the bonus episode of Kane and Undertaker, because you got to see some of these. You got to see that Kane didn't want to part with his stuff for less than he thought it should get. He was raising money for the Eastern Tennessee Children's Hospital, but he knew the worth of it. You have some other guys in the business really holding on to this stuff that's important to them. And then, when people ask me about the Ultimate Wrestling Collector and whether or not he really did give us a sock for free, I was like, yeah, he just wanted us to hang out with his kids.
And that's the thing from the show that needs to be seen. That's the extra clip that needs to be seen when you are reading me and the kids a bedtime story in the attic. How that didn't make the show, I will never understand.
The children, they were there for a couple hours, right? They were there for a while.
Yeah.
And they did, on parting, we did get that call from one kid who yelled out, "Best day ever." So, the negotiations are 100% real. And I really enjoyed being I really enjoyed being part of that show.
Man, I'm so excited for everyone to see your biography, which will be airing tonight, 8/7 Central on A&E. It'll be a good time. But back to these, our stories about WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. Like, what was it like when you would meet one of these hardcore collectors while filming, such as, like, what was that feeling for you when we walked into the GWC?
Oh, that was incredible. Wow. Yeah, this is can I share with the story of his museum with people?
Yeah.
Background?
For sure.
That was his childhood home.
Yes.
He was he's in real estate, and he found out the home was going to be, I think, demolished. Yeah, and so he purchased his childhood home and turned it into a wrestling museum, made the upgrades that needed to be upgraded to get it up to code and all that. And so when he was calling his family, they only live about 5 minutes away, and they will stay over in the house. They'll have sleepovers, but it's there essentially to house his wrestling memorabilia collection, which is just mind-blowing to me. So what a great guy he was. He was super cool, but he was a little nervous. Like when he's on the phone with his family, like, okay, come on over. He was really, he was a great guy. And you'll have to help me with the name of the gentleman in Indiana.
I believe his name is Tim.
Yeah, Tim. Tim was great. Like, this was his pride and joy. David had his stuff in a room along with Disney memorabilia, and it was displayed in one way. Tim had his immaculately displayed, using mannequins to put the Oz robe, the Mankind shirt. I think he had some Kurt Hennig and Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I know what it's like. I've got I had one until we moved to Florida. I had a year-round Christmas room for 20 years. I liked being around the stuff that made me feel, happy.
Yeah.
And so these are guys for whom wrestling makes them feel happy. And, there's a lot of, look, from what I understand, these new Rock and Sock Connection pops can't even stay on the shelves at Walmart.
I mean, I'm not shocked.
And they're being purchased by adults who have collections. So I'd say there's, thousands upon thousands of people who have some type of collection. We're
And
seeing people.
that's the cool thing about the show is the fact that like you're going to see all these collectors and all their collections, and now what's going to happen is collectors that weren't on this season of the show are going to be flooding the phone lines. We're like, please come to my house. You got to see us. Like, people hit me up on Instagram and Twitter every day, like, hey, this is a vest that Shawn Michaels wore at WrestleMania. Hey, this is like, come to my house. And I'm like, that's not really my gig to set that up. You know what I'm saying? I just show up. Yeah. You feel me? But like, I appreciate you, reaching out for me and thinking of me, And now, last but not least, I'd like to turn to some fan submitted questions. You ready, Mick?
Ready. I'm ready.
All right. To Mick from Dan. Dan asks, as a person who's done some crazy stuff, how do you conquer fear?
Oh, man. Yeah, they say courage is action in the face of fear. It's not fearlessness. Oh, man. I mean, I just had this doesn't work for everybody, but I just had a definite idea of what I wanted to do. And I couldn't let fear get in the way. I mean, there's all kinds of fear of failure. When I was working towards my goal, I was stopping off and sleeping in the back of the car en route to Pittsburgh. So, there's a lot of things that were unknown. Fear of the future, fear of failure. I wasn't afraid of getting hurt. I was far more afraid of failing. And nobody wants to stink up the place either. Like, that's a big fear, especially when you're starting out. When you get some confidence, and by the time you're in WWE, you've probably been around long enough to get some confidence. But I remember being on the flight to my first WWE taping, and I had to remind myself that I knew a lot of these guys. I had to actively remind myself that I belonged there and that I'd had big matches and that I was somebody to contend with. Because if you're not confident when you get in that ring, people are going to see right through you.
Sounds like me doing the show.
What's that?
It sounds like me doing the show. It's like first day on the job, you're like, all right, you're going to go with Undertaker in the Cade's mayoral office. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, right. So you have to believe you belong there. Or else I've seen a couple of really good wrestlers who come to WWE and they just lose what it is they had, and that's confidence. So they're not doing, and they might be doing the moves, but if you look closely, you just realize something's off, and that's that lack of confidence.
Another fan question we have here from Sean. He asked, what was your favorite match you had with The Rock?
With The Rock, oh man, the favorite match. We had so many good matches, not just televised, but the house shows.
The empty arena match?
Yeah, the empty arena match. I would say my favorite was the night that I defeated the biggest star in the world for the WWE title. And when I showed that to my youngest son, I think he was like 6 at the time, his comment was, "Dad, that's not believable at all." And I was like, if you'd been around in the late 90s, it was believable. It might not be believable looking at your dad now. But that was probably my favorite one. I mean, we had better matches, but that was my favorite.
He said his son, his own flesh and blood, says that's not believable.
Not believable at all.
All right. Teresa wanted to say, my 9-year-old son wants to know how and when he can look into a wrestling career.
Oh, wow. Well, I started training when I was in college. So I believe everyone should have another goal they're working towards. I know there's those who say you shouldn't have a backup plan, but I would say everyone I know who went into wrestling and had a backup plan was the better for it because, A, chances of making it are really small. The chances of getting hurt, both physically and emotionally are really high because, it takes a lot out of you. And that you need to be realistic with your chances. So I would suggest that after this child turns 18 and graduates high school, that they either get into a trade school or start working a real job or attending college, and then they can reach out. It's a lot easier now, but you can Google wrestling schools. You find out which schools have placed graduates, in WWE or any of the other reputable leagues, including Japan. You go to the independent shows. You find out who the good guys are. You approach them at their gimmick table. They're happy to talk to you about who trained you. And then you just try to find the best training you can within a couple hours of your home or your college. And then you put everything you have into being as good as you possibly can be.
Absolutely, man. I mean, obviously my situation was a little different because I came from the NFL, but when I finally decided to kick the NFL to the side and become a professional wrestler, and I looked up the school, I got lucky because, Team 3D Academy with Devon Dudley and Bubba Ray Dudley was only 30 minutes from my house. So I got lucky. Not everybody's wrestling school situation is like that. But one thing I will say, it's not the school that is going to get you to that next level. They might have the connections that can help get you to the next level. But if you are not ready yourself, it don't matter. So it's mostly on you. But, just like Mick said, you got to follow the right directions to the right people, and you can find your way. Mick, I just wanted to just say thank you for joining me today for this convo, man. It's been really cool to catch up with you again. I really like working. I work with your son every week on NXT, so that's
right. Yeah.
So that's been a lot of fun as well. And I just wanted to say thank you, man, for everything that you've done for this business, and thank you for coming on here and talking with us.
You got it. Thanks, AJ, and thanks for pushing the biography. I hope people will check it out. It really is a good piece of business, as we say.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see it. But don't forget to tune in to see the premiere of Mick's biography documentary tonight at 8 p.m., 7 Central on A&E. Be sure to join the conversation using the hashtag WWE on A&E. Well, I guess actually it's WWE on AE because ampersands don't do well with hashtags.
There you go. All right.
But while you're watching, make sure you look and enjoy and have a good time and appreciate the career of the great legend Mick Foley. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, AJ.
Let's see a little bit about what's coming on tonight.
Have a nice day.
I remember seeing the reactions of people when they saw my blood and not disliking it.
When Mick says, I got this idea, you already are starting to think, oh boy.
This guy's out of his mind.
Honestly, I was really getting hurt. Ta-da, there's my magician's secret.
Mick always had that connection with the audience.
I wanted to make people feel about wrestling the way that I felt.
An A&E original biography, Mick Foley, tonight at 8 on A&E.